space going. So I do apologize for the delays here. I'm just waiting on this to start up. So one moment while I'm getting that up here. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're going live on YouTube as well. So if you guys end up getting into this space late or can't watch the entire thing, need to come back later, it is being recorded here on Twitter, and it will also be recorded on YouTube as well. So you have the option to view it on YouTube, and you also have the option to view it here on Twitter. So if you want to check that out there, I've got that up and going there. Throughout this space, we will also be taking questions from people on YouTube. So anyone sends any super chats in on the YouTube side, I'll go ahead and make sure that we can pause and get those questions answered when it is appropriate there. If not, we'll just focus on the speakers here in the Twitter space so they can go ahead and hop in and listen. Sounds like we do have a couple of people in here. So while people are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and lay down some ground rules for this space. And then as people come in, if we need to remind people, we can. But for those that are already here, the rules I wanted to go ahead and lay down is that I'm totally open to opposing viewpoints on this topic. I know there's a lot of people who unfortunately have prejudged this project or have come up with their own assumptions on things. I'd love to have those opinions come in and ask their questions or any concerns that they have about this project. As long as they're willing to stay civil and keep it a civil conversation, I'd love to talk with them. If we start to get to ad hominems, people bashing each other, that kind of thing, I'm going to unfortunately have to put them down to listener. But as long as people are respectful, I'm open to any opposing viewpoints. And of course, any questions that anyone has on this project. I know this project has caused a lot of heat in a lot of communities, and I wanted to go ahead and clear that out for everybody to hear. I only started looking into this project and promoting it once I fully understood it and understood that it was something I was willing to put my own money into. Of course, this space is not financial advice, and none of my content is ever financial advice, but I wanted to let everybody know that. So if you guys have any questions or anyone in here has anything they would like to bring up and have questions that they would like asked, whether you've watched the masterclass or not, I'm going to go ahead and have you guys come up and ask your questions. I'd love to have an open conversation about the project. And I'd love to talk about what I plan to do with my direct referral drops with the airdrops here in the future. So right when this space started, I had a scheduled tweet. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that tweet came out appropriately. And if it did, I'm going to go ahead and pin it here to the top. So give me 1 second to pin that here for you guys, because it looks like it did go through. Okay, so there was a lot of questions about the audit of Drip. So I went ahead and posted to the top of the space the full audit report. So if you guys want to check out that report and see that it indeed did go through, you can check that out there. And 1 second here while I go back and also put up the masterclass, because I know that there was a lot of people who may not have had the chance to see the masterclass or may not have known that I had released the video. So both of those things will be pinned to the top, so you can watch the masterclass if you haven't already, and you can also check out the full audit report for the Drip network if you guys want to check that out. I don't see anyone that's currently requesting for any questions and answers. I know that some people in the past had mentioned that they wanted some questions answered. So feel free to come up if you'd like to get your questions answered in this space. If you have any doubts about the project, if you had any aspect of the project that was confusing, whether it was during the actual video or whether it was any aspect of the video I released or that something else has said or something that didn't seem clear to you in the white paper or whatever research you've been doing, feel free to come up and ask those questions. I see quite a few people in here. I'd love to go ahead and bring some people up here. I know that there was quite a few people who had questions in the past. So I'm not seeing any requests as of this moment, but if you have any questions, you're welcome to come up and ask those questions. So does anyone in the crowd currently that's down here now have any questions? Feel free to request. If not, I did want to touch on a couple of aspects that were confusing while we're waiting on some people to send in any questions and anyone who had some things that they would like to pop up. So one of the questions a lot of people were having was about the BR34 token. In order to buy the BR34 token, I did not include that in my masterclass that I put up. The reason I didn't is because the video was already so long at 45 minutes. I didn't want to make it any longer than that. The original cut of my video was actually about 1 hour and 18 minutes. But I cut it down to 45, trying to keep just the most important information I could in that masterclass. So when it comes to buying BR34P in order to get larger downlines, you have to buy it on the Pancakeswap version 1. So it's not purchasable through their native DEX on Drip, and it's not purchasable through the version 2 of Pancakeswap either. If you want to know where the contract address is for that, if you actually go to drip.community, their website, there's actually a button at the top of their menu that says buy BR34P. You can go ahead and click on that button and it will take you directly to the version 1 of Pancakeswap where you can go ahead and swap for BNB for your BR34P up to the amounts that you need. The amount that you need is listed on the white paper. It's also in my Drip Masterclass video. The Drip Masterclass video is also going to be broken down into shorter videos. So I know 45 minutes is a lot, and some people may not want to sit through that dense of information. So what I'm going to be doing is each one of the chapters that's in that video will be released as its own independent video as well, with just an intro and an outro attached to it. That way people can watch just a specific topic like how to buy, or if they want to know how the buddy system works, how the Faucet contract works, or just the basics of what Drip is, they can go ahead and watch those videos in shorter form content. That way they don't have to sift through the entire 45-minute video there. I did see that Raven did come up to request. Raven, did you have any questions or comments about the project?
Yes, I just had a question about the main website, the reservoir section. What exactly is, what is that? I don't really understand what that is.
That is a great question. So if you actually look at my masterclass video, that will be a shorter video I'll release specifically on the reservoir contract. But the reservoir is how they actually supply liquidity to the entire project. So the project has what they call a sword and shield pairing, where their native DEX has a pairing in their liquidity pool between Drip and Binance Smart Chain, so BNB. And then on Pancakeswap, it's actually not paired with BNB. It's paired with BUSD. So they call that the sword and shield pairing, where they're paired with two different coins. One is basically, the peg dollar on the Binance Smart Chain, and the other one is actually BNB in and of itself. So it's important to know that. So what that contract does is it allows you to go ahead and stake your BNB rather than your Drip for a return. So you're essentially providing liquidity to the Drip network, and for doing so, you're going to get rewards out of it that way. So if you want to know the specific details, there's a 10% tax that's involved with that, and it does have a breakdown as to where each of those go. It's split 5, 3, and 2%. If you go ahead and watch the chapter in my masterclass video, so basically if you just go into the masterclass video, you can scroll on a bar, it will tell you what topic it's going to talk on. There's a section there where I talk specifically about the reservoir contract, and I even show a pie chart of where all those funds are going and what each of those things will do and the benefits that you receive for essentially providing liquidity for the project. So the way it's set up is the buy and sales tax in the Drip network all go towards the rewards pool for the Faucet contract, but it is that other contract in the reservoir that provides the actual liquidity for the entire project. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check that out, and I'll also, of course, release it as its own independent video for those who don't want to sift through that masterclass. I should have those shorter videos up this week, probably before Wednesday. All 6 of them should be up. I might make some minor tweaks and edits to them just to make things a little bit more clear on the shorter form content, though. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that did. And I had another real quick question. The animal farm, I noticed there's no link on the website for that, and I didn't really know what part the animal farm played in conjunction with the Drip network itself.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the animal farm it's going to be its own separate project, but it will be tied into the same ecosystem. This is kind of similar to how Forex Shark, the developer, has done things in the past. So his first project that he released under the name Forex Shark, that he was the lead developer on, was called Reap, which was R34P. It was released about 2 years ago. Since its release, it's had about a 7,000% ROI for those who got in on day one, and it's perpetually done really well. The BR34P is the Binance Pig version of the R34P or REAP token. So the Animal Farm is his 4th project. So it went REAP token, Drip, the Manor, which is similar to Animal Farm but different, and now we have the Animal Farm project, which actually comes out this Tuesday. So it's actually not publicly available yet because its launch date is going to be on Tuesday. And if people would like me to, I can definitely do videos covering his Animal Farm and the yield staking that will be available. The yield farming that will be available through the Animal Farm once that is publicly available. But right now,
they changed that date generation.
What's the new date on that, Millionaire?
Thursday. They found something they wanted to do with the contract, and they're taking an additional 2 days to make sure that the payback to the initial investors is going to be higher by 3%. So they're updating the contract. They said they're going to take 2 days and launch on Thursday instead. So you may want to update that.
Did that answer your question there, Raven?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, you're welcome to stay up here if you have any more questions, or you can drop down a listener if you're done there. Millionaire, did you have something to bring up?
Yeah, first of all, that masterclass video that you did was great, man. I know there's a little bit of hate going back and forth with people, but you know, everybody's got to diversify. I don't ever look down on anybody for that. So, you know, between you and RJ, I think Moonboy as well had done a video on this, and there's some other people. You know, you guys opened my eyes to a different compounding interest token, which was pretty amazing. But I did want to say that if you have any time to do even a short video on what the Animal Farm is going to be when they launch that, you know, as far as the dog and pig tokens and all that, and staking and yield farming back in BNB, or I'm sorry, BUSD, I think that'd be super beneficial for people, because people don't understand that you're actually going to become part of that project. You're not just purchasing tokens, you're actually purchasing the right to be a portion owner based on what you buy at launch. So it's kind of a one-of-a-kind project that's extremely early that ties back into the ecosystem.
Exactly. Thank you for that, Millionaire. And I definitely would love to do a video on it. I just wanted to get this one out and get some questions answered. But that is definitely the next video I'm looking to make on this ecosystem, is on the Animal Farm project. I agree. It's a very interesting design with the way they set it up, where you're literally a partial owner. The way that Forex Shark himself said it is, imagine being a partial owner of Pancakeswap, right? Imagine being a partial owner of any exchange or any type of project, where you're not just receiving some sort of reward, but you actually have ownership in the unit that you're building, which is the farm. So thank you for that, Millionaire. I saw that Kev brought his hand up. Kev, did you have some questions, comments, or anything that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I did have a few questions. Your video was awesome, man. But sometimes I need to hear things like 2 or 3 times before it finally hits. My first question is on the hydrate. When you hydrate, I noticed, you know, it does go back in the deposit. Now, are those all burned, or just your initial deposit?
So anything that goes into the deposit is burned. So anything that you put in there is no longer accessible. The only thing you can pull out of the Faucet contract is the 1% you're earning daily that builds up into the available section on the DApp. So when you see that available section that's showing up there, that's the actual amount you can pull out of the contract. When you hydrate, there's a 5% tokenomics fee that goes towards the rewards pool every time you hydrate. And then also you're going to pay some BNB gas fees every time you make the hydrate as well. Now the hydrate gas fee is literally like, I think it varies based on demand, but it's like 20 to 30 cents. So you're not hit with anything massive on those, but there is a fee associated with that. So be aware of that. You're getting hit with the 5% fee on hydrates. You're also getting hit with the gas fees from the Binance Smart Chain when you're making that transition from hydrate. And then also when you deposit, you're going to get hit with a 10% there. So it does make more sense to hydrate than it does to deposit more, as you hit with the lower fee. On top of that, when you go to claim the tokens, out of the tokens that are available, there is a 10% fee there as well. So if you go to claim them back into your wallet, you'll get hit with a 10% fee and you'll get those back. And then when you go to sell the tokens back to BNB, there's another 10% fee to sell back to BNB. So this entire ecosystem is built up by all of the taxation that's involved with the project. So there is 1% ROI, but when you really look at it and do the math, it's actually closer to about 0.79% after all of the fees.
Got it. So, so the goal really is to get your deposit at a number that you are comfortable with, like, let's just call it, okay, if I can get my number up to 5,000, then, you know, I'm making, you know, $50 a day. Again, yeah, minus all those fees you had just said. So, okay, maybe I'm making $40 a day. But that's kind of the goal, right? Is get that deposit number where you're comfortable, and then you're just kind of making that passive income every, or I guess as much as you want to pull it out, or but then I guess what is that claimed number to the right of the deposit? What I see like that, I'm not quite fully understand on that.
Yeah, so the claims number is a combination of all of the tokens you've hydrated and all of the tokens you've pulled out of the project itself. So essentially what's happening during that, when you do a hydrate, there's actually 2 actions occurring at the same time. You're simultaneously claiming the token and then simultaneously depositing the token, all for 1 gas fee and at a 5% tax rather than a 10% hit on the claim and then another 10% hit on the deposit. So it's essentially a 5% tax rather than a 20% tax, and it's all in one gas fee. So the hydrated tokens also get counted towards your claimed tokens. Once your claimed tokens reaches that number that you see there, reaches the amount that's on your max payout, you can no longer pull any more tokens out of the project. So in order to increase your max payout number, that max payout is just simply 3.65 times your deposit amount. So if you want to be able to pull more out of the project, you need to go ahead and deposit more tokens in to increase your threshold that you can pull out. And the overall maximum is 100,000 tokens. So you can only pull out a total of 100,000 tokens out of this project in one wallet. And then after that, you can no longer pull anything out of the faucet. And you can only pull out 3.65 times what's in your deposit. And so what you would do to find out how much you have left to pull out is you would take the max payout number, you would subtract the claimed tokens number, and that's actually how many more tokens you are capable of pulling out of the faucet contract. Once you reach that number, you have to start depositing more until you hit that 100,000 before you can pull anything out. So there is limitations in Drip. So I know a lot of people keep thinking that it's just this infinite money machine. That's not possible, right? There's no way that you could just have infinite money at compound interest at that level. Otherwise, it wouldn't be sustainable. So these taxes at these different stages and these limitations within the contract is what keeps this project sustainable for a long-term projection.
Awesome, man. You actually answered my next question with that scenario. So perfect. So then after you do eventually hit your max payout, you know, you've gotten your 365% out from your initial investment plus any hydrating you've done in the meantime. Then can you basically start another a campaign again? You know, I throw in another, $1,000 and then I start all over with that initial deposit?
You certainly can, but it would have to be at a completely different wallet address. So you can't use the same wallet address to do that again.
Makes sense. Awesome, man. Thank you so much for answering those questions for me. I appreciate it, man.
100%. Yeah. Thank you for coming up and asking your questions. Just because there's a lot more people in the space here than when we originally started it. This is a space about the Drip project that started back in April of 2021. You guys are all welcome to come up and ask any questions you guys have about the project. Pinned to the top of the space here is the full masterclass video if you guys want to go ahead and watch that. My buddy code, if you're wanting to go ahead and get into the Drip project, is in the video description there. It's also on my profile. If you guys go there and scroll down just a couple of tweets, I do have it there. If people would like, I can pin it to the top as well if people would like a better access to that. So you can go ahead and get into the project using that buddy code that's in the description of the video. It's also in the comment sections of the video. And then, of course, pinned to the top as well is the audit for the project. There was a lot of rumors going around that this was a non-audited project. That is not the case. So the full audit is in the description is pinned to the top of this space. It's also in the description of my video as well, if you guys would like to read through that audit and see what the reports said and how they came back. I'll get to you here in a minute, Million. I just want to get these last little items really quick with the new people that came in. If people have contrary viewpoints, they think that this is something that it's not, or they think that this is not a good project, I would love to have you come up and give your piece, speak your mind, as long as you're willing to stay civil and not resort to ad hominems and just talk about the facts of the project and we can have a civil conversation. Your opinions are welcome in this space. I don't want anyone shunned. You will be allowed to speak and you will be allowed to say everything that you want to say as long as you're respectful and as long as you don't interrupt others that are speaking in this space as well. If we do have people that are being rude, interruptive, or not contributing to the space, they will be pushed down to listener, but I do not ever kick anyone out of a space unless they do something that is either illegal or, avidly racist or something crazy like that. Otherwise, everyone is allowed to listen in on the space, even if they're not allowed to speak if they've been rude in the past. Millionaire, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just think that a lot of the misconceptions about the project is because the mathematics, a lot of people remember Enron and things like that. And the way the mathematics structure works out, it's very complicated for your common investor to really understand how the project works. So again, I just want to say I really appreciate the video you did. I've shared it. Generation, you make some great videos on this stuff, man. So you're a very valuable asset to the community. I really appreciate it. And I just want to push the fact that it is very important to diversify. Guys, nobody knows what could happen, especially right now with what's going on with the government. They could put down regulations that change everything for whatever project you're in. And I hope to God that you have a second project and a third project that will carry you along for the 6, 8, 10, 18 months, however long it takes them to change the legislation until that project can be used again. So just remember, in the crypto world, nothing is guaranteed. It's all speculation. We just need to be able to cover our asses. And that's all I've been preaching for the last week as well. So I wish everybody the best on here.
Thank you for that, Millionaire. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's important to diversify, guys. I know a lot of people want to put all their eggs in one basket, but that's never a good idea. I don't care how good the project is. That doesn't mean that the other projects you're in aren't good. And it doesn't mean that you're betraying the community or betraying anything by having your eggs in multiple baskets. To give you guys an idea, I am involved in over 50 different cryptocurrency projects, and I also have diversification outside of cryptocurrency. So even though I have a channel dedicated to cryptocurrency, even though I live and breathe cryptocurrency, and I believe that cryptocurrency is the future, and I have been pushing for that in how I vote in my local elections, all the way up to how I talk to my friends and family. I'm a very avid cryptocurrency supporter, but I still have investments outside of cryptocurrency in real estate, in stocks, in precious metals, and all these other assets as well. Not because I feel like crypto is going to fail, but because I'm diversifying my portfolio to protect myself. So this is obviously not financial advice, because we don't give financial advice in these spaces, but it is important that you diversify in what you're investing. And that's not just in the sense of crypto and other places, but it means even in crypto, you should be diversified as well. You should have some high risk stuff, maybe some little bit lower risk stuff, some things that do different things. You should have some long-term holds, maybe some shorter-term holds, that kind of a thing. And I get that it's daunting. There's a lot of projects out there and trying to find which ones are the right ones. At the end of the day, you've got to do research. You've got to be willing to sit down on the computer or on your phone and be able to learn a little bit enough that you can go ahead and go to their websites. You can figure out who's behind projects, what they've worked on in the past, what they're doing, how they've been doing it, and look at what this project aims to solve. What utility does this project bring? And do some research. And you're going to get things wrong. And that's okay, because you're human. But that's part of investing. So you got to just figure that out. Ask questions, come into these spaces, ask questions from others that have been around spaces for a while. Not that we're giving financial advice, but maybe we can help you push you in the right direction. So when you do your own research, you know where to look. 49er, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. But I do want to give a shout out to you, RJ, and especially Millionaire, because for him hosting that space the other day, I know he caught some slack for it, but I can't thank him enough, because I never heard about this token. So to me, I thank you, man. And then following your video and following RJ's video, I've done my research, and this is a great opportunity, I think. But my question is, and this could be dumb, I apologize, but on that max payout, is it just the max payout on how many tokens you can get paid out? Because obviously, what if the value increases? There's not a limit on as far as like a dollar payout, correct? It's just on the tokens that you're accumulating.
Correct. Yeah, it's everything in the drip contract is based on tokens, not on the equivalent value in dollars. So everything on there is going to be based on tokens.
Got it. Like a quick scenario, say, my max payout is 50 tokens. Right now the price, let's just call it 100 to make it even, goes up to 1,000, a year from now. And then I'm ready to finally, take out, then that my value pretty much increased 10 times, or so to speak.
Yeah, so everything's done in the token value. So if you decide to cash out your tokens, but you don't decide to sell them, you just decide to hold them, then yeah, and they go up in value, and you could definitely sell them at a higher value. There's nothing limiting you on when you sell. When you claim, all you're doing is you're taking the tokens out of the rewards pool contract, and the rewards pool is sending them directly to your wallet. What you do with them once they're in your wallet is completely 100% up to you. If you want to just sit on them and wait for the price to go up, or you want to send them to somebody else or put them in another wallet, it's 100% up to you. But once they're in your wallet, you can do whatever you want with them. So if you decide to sell right then, you can sell for a profit, or you can wait around for a higher profit, or, I mean, they're your tokens. You can do what you want with them, essentially.
Awesome, man. Again, appreciate you. And last thing, go Niners.
Awesome. Thank you for coming up into the space. I know there's a lot of people in here. I know that some of you have personally asked questions. If you're afraid to come up and speak, I understand. I know that a lot of people don't like to speak in public. Feel free to send either myself or, if it's okay, Millionaire, to go ahead and ask your questions, and then either he or I can go ahead and get those answered. Millionaire, do you want to help co-host the space?
Yeah, I can co-host for just a little bit here. Yeah, we can do that.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, either send myself or Millionaire your questions there if you don't want to come up and speak, and we can bring those up in the space. If you're listening in on the YouTube live stream, you can also ask your questions there, and your questions can get answered here in the space as well. So if anyone has any questions, let me know, and we can go there. So I got a question here in my DMs. It says, "Hey, Generation, would you have any recommend?" Oh, excuse me. That is for something else. I apologize. That is not associated with this specific space. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, send them to Millionaire or send them to me. I'd love to get those questions answered. Did either Millionaire, Raven, or 49er, did you guys have anything else you guys wanted to bring up in this space?
I have something I'd like to bring up. So just so everybody's aware, when you have these teams, people think that there's some type of pyramid scheme thing going on. That is not the case. What the person at the top of the team, such as myself, I have, 35, 40 people in my team. I don't have to give back any airdrops or anything like that. You guys get an automatic portion of those tokens back based on your team's value. What is it, 2.5% generation?
Yeah, it's 2.5% of
Yeah.
any positive action they take.
Okay, so any positive action that's taken goes back by 2.5%. Now, here's the deal. I'm not interested in anybody's money in my team. Everybody manages their own teams the way they want. The way I manage my team is every bit of money that comes and filters towards me by people joining my team, every 2 weeks, I am going to be airdropping that equally across my entire team because I am not interested in anybody else's money. I can make my own. The reason I'm in the project is so that I can take a hold of the 1% daily interest tokens. That's compounding interest. That's more important and more valuable to me than anything. Now, not every team is like that. If you guys don't want to join my team, don't join my team. Join Crypto's team or Generation Crypto's team. He's got a great team as well. He's a great guy. He knows more about this project than I do. That's just how I run my stuff. There's a lot of teams out there that don't airdrop anybody, and they just use that 2.5% to help them further as well. And that's absolutely fine. Everybody's got different goals. But I just want to let you guys know there's been a lot of DMs, a lot of misconceptions about that I will not be taking any of your money. I will be sending back 100% of the money that it comes into my team through airdrops every 2 weeks. Right now I'm accruing it, and it's sitting at about $390 that I'm going to be giving back so far. By the end of the week, that could double or triple just depending on how many people are in there, because I don't want your money. So hopefully everybody feels a little better about that, and they understand that they're getting that 2.5% regardless. Do you have anything to say on that, Generation?
I just want to say I think what you're doing is awesome. I know there's a lot of people who are not willing to do that. When I got into this, I actually saw this as an opportunity for me as a content creator to be able to give back to my community. And so I talked to some other people in the space, and we had questions on how I would handle airdrops. Like you mentioned, 2.5% is automatically given out back on anyone's team. So it doesn't matter if you join, Millionaire's team or my team or RJ's team. That 2.5 is paid back to anyone that's in your uplines with a team wallet. So if they have a team wallet on that specific transaction, whether it's a hydrate or a deposit, you're going to get that 2.5% kickback. That's going to go right back into your deposit, so you can earn better rewards that way. So that's an automatic feature. But the direct airdrops, which is what Millionaire was talking about giving back to his team, I decided I wanted to make it a little bit more fun in how I wanted to handle it. So what I decided to do is, instead of doing smaller doses of just sending it to everyone on my team or only sending it to 1 or 2 people, I decided I'm going to do airdrops, direct airdrops outside of the automatic airdrops once a month to 5 people that are on my team that are going to be larger amounts. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to concentrate that, so that way when those people do get those airdrops, it's a big deal, right? So instead of, a $50 airdrop or a $5 airdrop every so often, I wanted people, especially as the team gets larger, to be getting $500, $1,000, $2,000 airdrops dropping into their accounts that can really help those people out. So I want to kind of make it kind of gamified in that way, that you can kind of join my team and you have literally a potential chance that every month I'll be doing an airdrop. And then I also plan on doing a special event in Christmas where I might be airdropping a little bit more frequently, or giving out to a little bit more, a few more people that way as well. So I look forward to anyone who wants to join my team. Of course, you don't have to do that, but I would appreciate any support, because it would help me out on my channel. All the funds I get for any profits that I would take out of the Drip contract are going to go towards my channel. They're not going to go towards my personal life. I'm using this as basically a business account to fund so that I can do more content for you guys. I can get better equipment, that kind of a thing. That's how I've always perceived this project. And then, of course, a way to give back to the community.
No, I think that's a great idea, Crypto. You know what I might do? Since I'm going to be doing it every 2 weeks, I may take every 2 weeks, I will do an even drop to everybody. So everybody is included. It will be a smaller amount, but they'll be able to get the compounding interest on that. And then the secondary 2 weeks, I will pick out 2 or 4 or 5 people, however many, depending on the team size, and I'll drop them, say, let's do 3 people. First, second, and third prize. So the first prize will be $250. Second prize will be $150. Third prize will be $75, something like that worth of the tokens. I think that's a great idea what you're doing. I might switch it up every 2 weeks. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, thank you. Looks like we got Jeff here that came up. Looks like he had some questions that he had to ask. Jeff, go ahead and ask any questions that you have. What did you want to bring up?
Generation, how are you? Yeah, no, I really didn't have any questions right now. I actually got in about a week ago. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to make the videos. I watched your 45-minute video this afternoon, had a cup of coffee. It was fabulous. And yeah, I know there's been a lot of, people over the last week talking about where people should put their money. And my personal advice is always, unless you're paying my bills, let me invest in what I want to invest in. And yeah, I think it's exciting. And again, man, I just wanted to go up and say thank you for taking the time. And my one question actually is for Millionaire. Since I am on your team and you were talking about maybe switching it up for week 2 in the month, would you possibly consider maybe giving those, those airdrops to guys named Jeff?
It's so here's the nice thing that I like about Drip. I don't know who you are on there. I have no idea who you are on there. All I can see is an address under my airdrop account. So the anonymity is actually a better thing for me because Jeff, I love you, dude. I love you. I love your fucking energy. So some people would say, well, you're biased to Jeff. In real life, I would be. But what I love about the anonymity in the Drip contract and the way that the airdrops are done, all I can see is your, whatever is 37 number address there. So I'm going to put the addresses into a program that actually spins those numbers and randomly selects people. So not only can I not see who it is, but I won't be able to control who gets picked either. I want to keep it as fair as possible. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think I honestly think that's awesome. I just wanted to get up. You know how it is, Millionaire, man. I always like to hop up and just try to make the room a little bit lighter. I think it's a great opportunity. People don't like it, don't get into it. Like, it's very simple. Like, it doesn't have to be this, I can't believe you did kind of a thing. So I think it's cool. I appreciate the time that you guys take by trying to educate people. I think, airdrops, all that stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. So thank you so much, both of you, for your time. And I hope you have a great night.
Thank you for your contributions, Jeff. I just want to say, Millionaire, there is a feature already built into the contract. If you go under the team airdrops, where you can actually have it set to select 5 or 10 or however many wallets that you want, and it will randomly select wallets for you. So they already have a built-in feature that does that for you. That way you don't have to put it through a third-party program.
Oh, that's awesome. See, I like this project more and more. I mean, I did, so when you messaged me originally there, Generation, RJ had sent me a message as well. Probably couldn't have been 12 hours before that. I know you guys all spoke about it on the round table, and you guys were all doing your own research and stuff like that. And him and I spoke a little bit, but I did quite a bit of research on it before I got into it. And the more and more that I looked into it, the more I liked it. I could see where people were going to have questions about it just because it is a bit complicated and people aren't used to that type of return. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm super stoked about. I'll have to go find that feature.
Awesome. Yeah. And no worries about, I don't hold any animosity towards anyone. If you guys want to join Safemoon Millionaire's team, you want to go join RJ's team or Crypto Atlas or Moon Boys, I don't care. I was never in this for the money. I just looked at this as a way that I could give back to the people who support me and my channel. If you guys don't want to join my team, you don't have to. There's just that option there available for anyone who wants to. And I'm not going to be mad at anybody or upset with anybody because they want to join somebody else's team. I love to see everyone in this space succeed. And so if that helps somebody else succeed, I like that. And it doesn't have to be me, the one that's winning. I like to see everyone else winning as well. Adult, did you have some questions?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Taking it easy. I originally got into Drip watching RJ's video, and I'm like, okay, like this is something I've been kind of looking for. Like I've been playing the crypto game one way, you know, trying to find the moonshot coin or just the next thing that I really like, you know, token or coin I believe in. But I had never like been introduced to that staking side. I was like, oh, like this is very interesting, like, you know. So I go in after watching that video. I'm like, okay, let's do some research. We find out that it's audited. I'm like, okay, good. Audit looks fine. That's cool. Then I'm looking through and I'm like, man, this is a really solid project. And like I listened to the AMA. If you guys and anybody in the room now, if you guys haven't seen any of the lead guy's AMA with RJ, it's really eye-opening how he breaks down everything. I'm like, man, this is really solid stuff. I just want to say this is I truly believe this is a really great opportunity, personally. Yeah, with every, you know, new thing on the block, people will talk, and that's fine. You know, it happens with all the newer tokens that, you know, come out. But man, I just truly think this is really opportunity, and I appreciate you guys, you know, giving us that good knowledge, because I didn't even know what I don't know sometimes in crypto. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. And thank you for coming up and giving the kind words. I agree. It's a great project. And if you guys have not seen that interview with Forex Shark and RJ, it's a great one to go ahead and check out on his channel. The awesome part about the developer of this project, he's not shy to come on and talk to people either on their channels or on, you know, several different platforms that he's been on. He's had several interviews with several content creators across all sorts of different platforms, willing to answer any community questions. He's constantly active on their Telegram, answering questions there as well. So this guy isn't afraid to answer any questions and answer the hard ones as well. So thank you, Adult, for coming up and pointing out that that AMA, because it was a great one for people to listen in on. So thank you. Troy,
Yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say Troy was next.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for having this space, obviously. First thing, I know that Generation, you know, obviously Millionaire, and the community who have brought this drip project forward, the YouTubers have the highest integrity. So there's not a question there. And and I own Drip. I own Drip because of how I was introduced through the community, and I looked at it twice, a Millionaire, after you said that you thought the project had merit. And I do believe in diversifying. But if you look at my portfolio, all you would see is, you know, statistically, percentage wise, is Safemoon. But with that said, so my question about the project is, I understand the tax there. So you get in, there's a tax, and when things are redistributed, there's a tax. And I understand that there's a future case use where it will generate money through possibly a casino. And again, I'm at a disadvantage. I haven't seen the in-depth generation crypto video that you've done, but I just don't see the sustainability unless there's revenue coming in from something such as a casino. I understand the, you know, the cryptonomics of charging a tax, and then there's, you know, revenue there to disperse. But if you don't have the new guy coming in, like any project, it's hard to give a 1%, which is incredibly generous, to your bag. And so I know I'm missing something, and I'm taking the ride because of you guys. And if it goes away, you guys aren't responsible. I'm not saying that, you know, at all. I'm there, but I'm just trying to understand the true economic model of this program. Could you expound upon that, or do I need to watch the video and then come back to you?
I would definitely suggest watching the video, because I go over that in quite a lot of detail, both how the tax system works and how the sustainability works. There's a section in there where I go over the buddy code, you know, the entire Faucet contract and how that functions. But there's a part as well where I go over basically, is this a fraud? Is this a scam? Is this sustainable? There's a chapter on that in that video if you wanted to fast forward to that part. And I walk all that over. But to give you, for, you know, Reader's Digest version who doesn't want to quite hop over to that video yet, although I would recommend watching it, is it's never been a question of sustainability. And the reason why is because the contract is written in a way that even if the rewards pool was completely deficient, meaning that there was nothing left in it to pay out, they would mint new tokens to make the payouts happen, meaning that you will always get your reward at 1% no matter what happens. The question, or rather the better question to ask is, will this token continue to hold value? Because it will always pay out. The question is, will it continue to hold any form of utility or value that will keep the price up and keep the sell pressure down? The answer to that question is, again, laid out in that video, but to put it here on the space, is there's only about 12% of the supply currently that's even in circulation because of the way that this contract is written and because everything else is locked away in contracts. Not to mention the fact that all the tokens that are put into the deposits are unaccessible. You can only access the 1% you're earning and nothing more. So being able to sell all of your tokens is extremely hard when you're only earning 1% at a time every single day. And even the people who are much larger in the project, there's a progressive Wells tax where they get smacked with a really large tax if they try to sell really large amounts of drip off. And then those rewards, or rather those taxed funds, go right back into the rewards pool. So it's a very well-designed system. And yes, like you mentioned, there are other use cases such as the casino that they're currently building. But outside of just the casino, there's 5 other cryptocurrency projects that are going to be utilizing Drip as a platform for their ecosystems, such as NFT development, metaverse development, and even within the ecosystem that Forex Shark is developing, it has utility. So his first project he ever built was called R34P REAP token, which had a very limited use case. Since he built REAP, he pegged it on the Binance Smart Chain, and then he released Drip. And then the way Drip works is in order to get rewards, you need to hold the R34P token, which gives the REAP token extra utility and use case through the use of his second project, which is Drip. That same thing happened with Drip with the Manor project that he built, which you can actually stake Drip tokens in the Manor. And now it's going to be the same thing. You can utilize Drip in the new Animal Farm project that's coming out later this week. So the developer of the project is very intelligent, Forex Shark, in the way that he's building on top of each one of his projects, adding extra utility and layers to the ecosystem that he's building. Not to mention the fact that there's 5 other projects plus the casino plus this other NFT collection that's all going to be utilizing Drip in their own ecosystems, just as the token, having nothing to do with the Faucet contract. So outside of the Faucet contract, there's utility for Drip in all these other aspects on top of what they're doing for you in the Faucet. So the Faucet's just the main draw factor currently for Drip, but it's not the only thing that Drip is used for, and it's not the only thing that's going to give Drip value in the future, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Troy. Thank you for coming up and for the kind words. Millionaire, do you have something to say on that?
Yeah, so this is the other thing. This is another reason why I would love if you did a video about the upcoming sale that's going to happen with the Animal Farm, because if you do that, please make sure you lay out that you can use Drip tokens, and things are going to be paid back in BUSD off of their pig tokens. And if you stake your dog tokens, you get pig tokens. I'm going to tell you right now, I've got $5,000 sitting aside so that I can buy into that when it launches. And I don't understand 100% of it, but I understand enough to see the amount of volume and sustainability and use cases that's going to create in the ecosystem. So I'm going to get heavily into it immediately. But yeah, I would love to see that video, man. I hope to God you're working on one, because we're going to want to see that before that launches for sure. There's a lot of people that have been asking me questions about it in my DMs, and I just haven't had the answers. And I'm the kind of guy that'll say, hey, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know and go find a source. I don't want to give you any false info. So looking forward to that, man. You know more about this project than I do, so I'm kind of leaning on you here.
No worries, man. I'll definitely work on that. And if I can't get a solid, well-edited video out before then, I'll definitely do a YouTube live stream and just lay it out there, kind of unedited, uncut, just talk about it and kind of try to explain things and answer questions. And then later on, I could do a little bit more of an in-depth, breakdown like I did for Drip. So if that's something that people would want to see, I can definitely do that maybe on Thursday or on Wednesday, probably on Wednesday. Because Tuesday I've got the roundtable for those who are wanting to join in on that, and then Wednesday I will probably do something like that where I could hop on, and I might even bring some other people on. So I might have I'll try to reach out to RJ, see if he'd want to hop in on that, and so a few others, and see if that'd be something that they would want to do with me. So we'll definitely make sure the information's out there though before the launch.
Awesome, man. I'm actually going to, well, the most important thing to me in life is my wife, and I'm going to sit down and have dinner with her here in a few minutes. So I'm going to have to drop off here, but it's always a pleasure listening to you and being in one of your spaces. I hope everybody here is very financially successful. If you guys have questions about Drip, or you want to help on my team, or come on over and ask me questions. If you want to go over to generation, great, go over to generation. I back you up. I actually helped. I had 7 people in this last week that asked me, and I helped them get on RJ's team. One of them went to Generation Crypto's team, and 2 of them started their own teams. I have no problem with that. My only thoughts is that I want you guys to get into a project that I see the future for, and the future very, very bright for this. So let us know if you have any questions. Again, Generation, thank you very much. I will catch you guys all later, okay?
Thank you for hopping up, Millionaire. Sorry, I was trying to answer a DM really quickly. Thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate your contribution to the space and being willing to speak your mind and do that for us. So thank you for hopping up. You're welcome to come back into the space later after dinner tonight if it's still open. I will say that there will be a hard stop on this space at about, let's see, it's 3:45 my time, about 6 o'clock my time. So about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's going to be a massive hard stop. I've got to be somewhere tonight. But up until then, we can keep the space open as long as people have questions. I do see your request down there, Schmoke. I'll get you in 1 second. I just wanted to go ahead and get to a DM I just had. I've got my DMs kind of blowing up right now. I just want to go ahead and answer some questions. So from JC, he asked, sorry, not sure if you mentioned this, but how many times should you rehydrate banks? So as far as rehydrating goes, it completely depends on what your goals are, and it completely depends on what you have invested. So that's not just the one answer fits all for everybody. For some people, that might be multiple times a day that they're going to want to hydrate if they really want to get that compound interest going. And some other people, they're going to want to go ahead and wait a couple of days before they're going to want to hydrate. You got to remember that there is a 5% fee every time you hydrate, and you're going to pay gas fee every time you hydrate as well. So that's something that's going to be completely dependent on your individual unique situation and what your goals are. So if some people will have a goal of, hey, I want to get in here, I want to compound as fast as I can and as often as I can, then you might want to hydrate a little bit more frequently. But for other people, they just want to get in, get their ROI, and then they'll deal with compounding other things. So they may not want to hydrate for 140 days. So it's completely dependent on the individual and what your goals are and what you want to achieve. Just know that there's a 5% hydration fee, and there's also a gas fee every time you do that. So just take that into consideration when you go to hydrate your tokens, and making sure, of course, you have enough BNB to make those hydrates work. I see your hand up, Schmoke. What questions do you have for us today?
Hey, what's up, Generation? Thanks for having me, buddy. Yeah, I had a question, man. I was listening to the Forex Shark AMA. I went over it a few times, and it kind of blows my mind what he was saying, that he's not into giving price predictions and stuff like that, right? But he was saying, based on the analytics and stuff, they're projected to hit anywhere between $3,000 and $8,000 a token. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? That sounds crazy as hell to me. I mean, what do you think about that?
So it does sound crazy, and I think when a lot of us here in DeFi are used to projects that have, millions, quadrillions, trillions of tokens, and so to think of one individual token have that much value seems absolutely absurd, right? It just does. The reality is this only has 1 million tokens in the entire circulating supply, and as of right now, at least at the time when I recorded my video, I haven't checked since, there's only 12% of the entire supply that's circulating. The reason is because the rewards pool and how heavy the taxes are in the system, 76% of the entire supply is in the rewards pool, meaning that it's unaccessible unless you're pulling out rewards. So the other 12% is what's actually accessible to buy and sell at current time, meaning that 12% of 1 million tokens is all that's available for buying and selling. And so it really doesn't take a lot of buy pressure to really kick up the price to the point to where people want, especially with these other utilities and use cases that we're bringing in with, the casino and the NFTs and the metaverse stuff that they're planning on doing. Not to mention the fact that when Animal Farm comes out later this week, it's another level of utility that Drip will offer. So it's only going to become more utilized in other aspects outside of the Faucet contract with such a small circulating supply that's going to really kick this price up. So there's a lot of things built in the system that will incentivize a lot of high buy pressure. And because of the gamification of the smart contract, there's an incentive for people not to sell. People want to hydrate. They want to compound. They want their deposit to grow larger so they can earn a better yield on a daily basis. And so because of the psychology of the gamification of the Faucet smart contract, because of such a small supply and because of such utility use cases that are being developed for the project, I don't think those numbers are unreasonable in the near future. I don't want to give timeframes on that, but with how little there is in the project, it wouldn't take a very large market cap for us to be able to hit those numbers with what's circulating. So yeah, I think what he said is not out of question for sure.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up, or anything you want to talk about when it comes to drip?
Yeah, well, while we're at it, one more thing. I got somebody else here with me, and he's listening in. Basically, he was wanting me to ask, and I told him no. I mean, this is what I understand about the project, right? You never get your deposit back. You work on your interest. Am I understanding this right?
100%. Yeah. So anything you put in that deposit, it's gone. It's burned. So you do not get access to that. The only tokens you have available to, if you've put your tokens into the Faucet smart contract, is the ones that are listed under the available DApp. So there's kind of that display there of the different information icons. So the different markers. I'm losing. I know there's a better word for that, but one of them there is available, and those are the only tokens you can take out of the contract for a 10% fee. So that's what you're working towards, and that's why this project works the way it does. If you could just pull out the full deposit, the amount that you've compounded into there, this would not be a sustainable project, and that's why it works. Is because you can only pull out that 1%.
Perfect, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming up, Schmoke. It looks like Chef is coming in here. He had some questions for us. Chef, when you connect, go ahead and ask any questions or any topics you'd like to bring up. Chef, go ahead and speak. The floor is yours.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, I was just wondering, like, do you have to interact with the token? Do you have to hydrate it? Can you just sit and then gain interest? Or I just stepped in. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you don't want to be an active participant, you can definitely just deposit your tokens, let the available balance occur over time, and you will earn a 365% of your deposit over the course of an entire year. And you would be able to pull that entire amount out at the end of the year minus a 10% tax. So if you wanted to just put it in and set a reminder that in 1 year you're going to come back and you're going to pull out 365% of what you put in, you can definitely do that. Obviously, the appeal for many people, though, is that they want to hydrate because it's going to yield them higher rewards over time. I've done the math on my masterclass video if you guys want to check it out, but it's quite insane the amount of money you can get out of this contract. I did mention this in the video as well, but I'm building a calculator for everyone to be able to go ahead and utilize, where you'll be able to go put into this calculator how frequently you're hydrating. You'll also be able to put into the calculator what your initial deposit is, and it will factor all of the taxes for you and spit out the answer that you would want in the token as well as in the current price. So that's something I'm working on right now. I've already built it to the point where I could use it for myself. I haven't been able to build a user interface on top of it for the general public to use yet. It's just code right now. But I would definitely want that, get that uploaded in a manner either on a website or in some other aspect where you guys can have access to that to do your own predictions or to be able to just kind of see the effects of what compound interest can do for you. Did you have something else, Chef?
Yeah, like, do you have to join the team? And like, yeah, like, do you have to join, or can you just be by yourself, or how does that work? And is the buddy code, is that what you use to join someone's team?
Yeah, so that buddy code, you are required to utilize a buddy code to actually deposit your tokens, but you do not have to recruit anybody. You do not have to ask anyone to join your team or anything like that. So the buddy code just is something you have to have in order to get into the project, and that does put you into someone else's downlines. But once you're in, you can just sit there, earn your 1% interest, and that's it. That's what it was ultimately built for. The reason they did a buddy code system was because it was an initial incentive to get the project out there so that more people would get into it and more people would want to take advantage of it. So it was a way that they could market without having to use any market share or funds, and it's incentivized through the rewards that you can receive by referring people. So the way the referral system works is only one person gets a referral reward per positive action that someone takes. So it's not like there's this massive string of people getting all this money every time you put your money in. It's just the one referral bonus each time. And you do not have to refer anyone. You can just get in, do your 1%, compound, do your thing, and get out. And you don't have to bring a soul into the project. You don't have to tell a soul that you're in the project. So you do have to use the buddy code to get in. But after that, that's the last thing you would ever have to do with the buddy code if you don't want to. If you want to invite people and ask friends to use your buddy code, you definitely can. But you will always get the rewards from being a part of a team, even if you don't necessarily do anything, right? So, for example, if you decide to use my buddy code because my wallet is a team wallet, you're going to get a 2.5% kickback every time you make a deposit when it's my turn to receive the reward, or anytime you make a hydrate when it's my turn to receive the reward. And then if there's anyone in my uplines, like RJ's in my upline, who also has a team wallet, when it's his turn to receive the reward on that, you'll get a 2.5% kickback that way too. So you're going to earn more money back by being on specific people's buddy codes rather than other people's buddy codes, if that makes sense. Did you have something else on that?
Yeah, I'm like scatterbrained. All right, so I heard something about like $1,000. Is that the most you can put in there? And then I got another question. When you buy the token or a coin, is it like in your wallet or is it like in the team's wallet? And that was it.
Yeah, so there's no limit on how high up you can invest into it, other than the 100,000 token marker, which is 10% of the supply, which is multi-millions of dollars. So I don't think that's really in the capacity for most people to worry about. But other than that, there is a minimum, and the minimum is 1 token. You have to deposit at least 1 full token into the contract in order to benefit. And then as far as the airdrops go, how that works is no, any referral rewards do not go into anyone's wallets. They go into their deposits where they can just earn more 1% interest. So they're not actually earning money off of you. They're not taking your money. It's just going into their deposit. And the 2.5% never actually goes into their wallet. It gets immediately kicked back to you as a reward into your deposit. So none of the rewards are going into anyone's wallets. They're all going into their deposits, which they can't access. They can only access their 1% yields that they're getting on a daily basis. Airdrops is something that people can do outside of the automatic airdrops, or I should say direct airdrops is something that people can do outside of the automatic airdrops, where they can take tokens out of their own wallets that they are earning themselves, and they can give back to people in there that are on their teams. And that is something I plan on doing. Like I mentioned before in the space, I'm doing it once a month. The exact number we'll decide kind of as the team grows, but I'm planning on it being about between, in the early days, it might just be 1 or 2 people, but eventually up to about 5 people. And I'll be dropping large amounts of direct rewards to people to give back to the team, to give back to the community for supporting me as a content creator. That's something that I wanted to do, but it's not required by any means for people to do those direct airdrops, although the automatic airdrops are automatic. So they're given to you no matter what. Did that answer your question? I was a little bit scattered brain on that answer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. How much is like the price of this right now for like a token?
So last I can tell you, give me 1 second to give you a price. So there is a price difference between Pancakeswap and on their native DEX. Like I mentioned before, the reason for that is because they have what's called a sword and shield pairing, where their liquidity pool is actually tied to 2 different tokens. One is on the Pancakeswap, it's the BUSD, and then in their native DEX, it's actually 1 second. I'm trying to type and speak at the same time. That's not working out. 1 second. So the native DEX is tied to BNB, and the Pancakeswap DEX is tied to BUSD in their pairings. So there's going to be a little bit of a difference in price, as well as the fact that if you purchase through their native DEX, you waive the 10% buy-in fee. So there's a little bit of an incentive there. So typically speaking, the price on the website is going to be a little bit more elevated than the price on Pancakeswap, because more people want to utilize that for the 10% buy fees being a little bit lower. So that's kind of how that works. And let me tell you the price live right now on their native DEX, waiting for the page to load here, is currently $124.50 for the project right now. So we hit an all-time high a little bit ago at about $160, I believe. It's dropped back down to about 124 today. When I got into this project a couple of weeks ago, it was about $70 a token. So there was a massive rise recently, up to 160 at a new all-time high, and we've had a little bit back of a correction since the last 2 weeks. So can't really predict where the price is going to go from here, but perpetually, if you look at the graphs over the length of this project since it came out almost a year ago, it's had waves just like every other project, but it's mostly been going up even in the red markets.
All right, thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you for your question, Chef. Thank you for coming up. I do have some more questions here in my message request, guys. Anyone else who would like to come up, ask a question, make a comment, or would even want to challenge a position on the project? Maybe you view this as a bad project, or you view this as something that you have doubts about. I would love to hear those questions, and I would love to hear those doubts. So you're welcome to come up. We'll be respectful to you as long as you're respectful to us. So feel free to hop up and ask those questions. If not, I'll go ahead and move over to the questions I'm getting in my direct messages for those who would prefer to send messages that way. So I've got a question here. It says, let me just make sure to vet this really quick. Okay, so obviously with the price of Drip, it would take a long time to accumulate 100,000 tokens. Have you figured out a good ratio to compound and claim? Wouldn't it be the best to hydrate for a year straight and the next year hydrate and claim for the best profits. Also, why would someone consider this a reverse pyramid scheme? Okay, that was a question from Evan. When it comes to people saying that this is some form of scam or this is some sort of pyramid scheme, my personal opinion is they have not done enough research to understand the project. On the face, when anyone hears that there's some sort of reward system built in, they're automatically going to assume this must be an MLM or some sort of scheme that's going on. If you actually looked into how those rewards are paid out, if you actually did research on what's actually going on in this project, you'd realize that none of that is actually happening. It's an open source protocol. There's only one reward ever being paid out, and that's not even the focus of the project. The project's focus is on building essentially a way that people can compound their interest through their yields. It's basically a staking platform, essentially. It's not staking, but it's like staking for DeFi. So to answer that question there, as far as the best methodology as far as hydrates and things, like I mentioned before, it completely depends on what your goal is. So for some people here, their first goal is going to be, I want my return on my investment. I put in X amount of dollars. I want to get out X amount of dollars back out of the project. That is my primary driver and primary goal. So for some people, the path to getting there is going to look a lot different than for somebody else who may have different goals. Maybe they don't want to essentially get their ROA right away. Maybe there's other people out there who would want to get their deposit to a specific number. So I want X I deposited to get to Y number so that I can receive, another letter, Z amount on daily interest every single day. And once I get that amount, that's when I'm going to start pulling profit. So everyone's going to have different goals, and how you get there is going to depend on what those goals are. Now, as far as hydrations go, obviously, the more often you hydrate, the more rapid the compound interest is going to be for you. But you have to factor in you're going to be using gas fees as well. So there's going to be a point where you're trying to sit there every 5 seconds and hydrate. You're going to pay more in gas fees than you're going to get out of it, and that just wouldn't make sense. So for every person and the amount they have, that's going to vary quite a lot. There's too many variables there to be able to say for everybody on a blanket term what is the best route to take when it comes to those kind of things. So thank you for that question, though. And I've got some questions here on the live stream as well. So I got it from, let me see here. Okay, never mind. Okay, so sorry, I was just reading the live stream there to see if there was any questions. I didn't see any there. Let me go ahead and go over to the direct messages here to see if there's any other questions. Okay, I got another question here from Mike. Says, let's say I put $1,000 in my original investment. After 365 days, that would stop gaining interest, correct? What I'm trying to get clarification on is, would it not be best to stop rehydrating at 265 days? Because if you reinvest through all 365 days, when those original deposits stop collecting the 1%. Thanks. Yeah, to answer your question, Mike, on that direct message that you sent me, so the interest that you earn is 1% daily, not compound. When it becomes compound interest is when you decide to hydrate that 1% you're earning. That's when it compounds, because everything you're putting into the deposit is what is utilized for that 1%. So if every day you're depositing, that's going to be 1% daily compound interest minus fees. So that's how that would work. When it comes to just putting your coins in there and letting them sit, it's just going to be 365% flat, no compound interest that you would receive over the course of that year. So as far as your 265 days, I don't think I quite understand what you're trying to say with that. Maybe if you want to come up and ask or clarify on that, please do, and I can go ahead and try to answer that for you. But that's how that works there when it comes to the reward system. Again, anyone else down there that's listening that wants to come up, ask questions, make comments, or challenge anything, you're welcome to come up, ask those questions. This is an open platform for anyone to come up and speak if you guys would like to do so that way. Let me go over to these other questions I'm getting here from V2 Punisher. Are there plans to lower the entry with the BR34P tokens like they did with the 10 Drip? The BR34P tokens are kind of expensive for some people that want to build a team. Thanks. I'm totally aware of the BR34P being expensive. When I first got in to BR34P, it was like, I think $120 a token, and now I haven't checked the prices recently, but it was over $300 at one point. So I get that it's a really high threshold. They do that on purpose because they want the threshold for your downlines to be bigger, to be hard to get to, because that's kind of the whole purpose of how they built that reward system. As far as lowering that threshold because the price is increasing, Forex Shark himself hasn't said anything on that directly, although I'm sure if someone wanted to bring that to his attention, someone could, and it may be something they could consider, but that may not be something that they would want to do. It just kind of depends on what they want to do with that or not, but it's kind of intended to be that way, where those BR34P tokens are going to be a little bit of a higher steep threshold for people to build teams. So the reward system is built in a way where rewards aren't being paid out at every transaction within any positive transaction within within the Drip network. So thank you for that question, V2 Punisher. I know that it's expensive. I see that. I will say that there are a lot of other projects similar to Drip with much higher thresholds, thousands of dollars before you can even start earning anything. So I think Drip is a really good entry point for a lot of people. You could always save up your rewards you're earning from the 1% daily compound interest, claim those, and then use those funds to buy your BR34P if the team is something you have in mind to build in the future. So that's something that you can do that way as well. Okay, yep. And then I got another question here from 49er asking if the airdrops go towards the deposit. That is correct. Yeah. So airdrops are never sent directly to a wallet. They're always sent to your deposit so that you can earn a better 1% daily yield if they're sent directly out of the Faucet smart contract. So that's how that works there. And then I had someone else ask, Crypto928 asked, hi, can you change buddy on Drip? So you actually cannot. So whatever buddy code you use, that is your buddy forever. The only way that you would be able to use another buddy code would be if you created another wallet and then use that wallet and use another buddy code that way. That would be the only other way you could switch teams or anything of that nature, would be to open up another wallet and then use that wallet as a way to get a buddy code. Otherwise, you're just stuck with the buddy code that you have. So that should answer that question there. Again, if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask over voice, you're welcome to go ahead and ask those questions. Moving over here, I got a question from Adult Drown saying, I heard you talked about calculator for Drip. You should check out Kelly Snook's Tier 1 Drip calculator on YouTube if you haven't yet. It's pretty detailed and the one I currently use. It could be a good basis to make your own. Thank you, Adult, for that. I am actually aware of his, and I think his is a great one as well. I wanted to go ahead and build one for myself on top of that. So thank you, Adult, for that question and for putting that to my attention. I have another one here from the Mexican Viking asking, say you hold in compound for a year. Do you have to pull it out, or can you put those profits back in more compounding? You most definitely can compound those and put those in for more compounding. That's one of the biggest draw factors of the Drip project, is the fact that you can take the earnings you're making over the course of that year and you can put them back in the deposit for a higher yield on a daily basis. So that's one big draw factor for a lot of people, is that compounding factor. So you most definitely can do that. From Isaac, I have, after hydrating once a day, should I let it accumulate for the next day before hydrating again in the same day? We kind of went over this before, Isaac. So when it comes to hydrating, it's going to completely depend on your bag size in your deposit. It's going to completely depend on how much you're earning on that and how much you're willing to pay in gas fees. So there's not a one size fits all answer for everybody. Obviously, people who have really large bags who are making $10,000 a day, they're probably going to want to hydrate multiple times a day to increase that yield, because it would more than make sense with how low of gas fees they're going to be paying. But for someone who has only a couple $100 worth and they're only earning $2 or $3 a day, it might not make sense to go ahead and utilize that multiple times a day, because you would pay more in gas fees than you would get back out of it. So that's how that portion of that would work there. I got a question here from John. He says, hey man, when the show's done, do you mind touching on applying 1% to the BRP token, or whatever the token was called? I'm not sure what you mean by applying the 1% of the BRP token. But if you want to just kind of clarify that, John, in the direct messages of what you mean by that, I'd love to go ahead and go over that with you. I've got one from Moxon saying, quick question. I know the guy I signed up under is giving airdrops, but I have yet to receive any, even though I've been in with him for 2 weeks now. What did I do wrong? What can I do to start earning this reward? So Moxon, when it comes to the airdrops, it depends on what type of airdrop it is. If it is a direct airdrop, those are going to be going into your deposit amount. That's where you're going to see those going. Even if it's an automatic airdrop, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to land in your deposit for a higher yield on a daily basis. So that's how all of that works. When it comes to as far as where you would see those, there is a section there on rewarded where you can see on the DApp of how many tokens you've received in your rewards, but they don't give you back the 2.5% every time you make a positive action. It's every time it's their turn, which can be up to every 17th time that you make a positive action. So you may not have made enough positive actions for that to kick in quite yet. So that might be why you're not seeing those airdrops kick in. If that specific person was talking about the automatic airdrops, and if they were talking about direct airdrops, those should show up under your rewarded tab, and then they'll pop into your deposit directly. You don't have to actually manually go in and put them into your deposit. They're just going to be added right into your deposit that way, to answer your question. So those are all the questions I got via text message there. Like I've said before, if you guys have anything that you would want to bring up to the table, feel free to hop up, and I would love to go ahead and have you come on board. If you guys have any questions that you guys would like answered, or any comments you'd like to make, any points you would like clarified, I know it can seem scary, but I'll be nice to you if you want to come up and speak with your voice, or feel free to continue to send me direct messages that way as well. Let's see, I got John to clarify here. He said, sorry, the 1% gain from Drip, I heard you referred instead of cashing out for hydrating, you could apply it towards BRP token. Yeah, so what I was saying was instead of rehydrating, what you could go ahead and do is you can claim those tokens back into your wallet, which would put Drip back into your actual wallet address. You can then sell those tokens for BNB, and then once you have the BNB, you could then use BNB on version 1 of Pancakeswap to buy your BR34P that way. So that's what I was referring to. There's no direct way to transition from Drip to BR34P. You have to sell your Drip tokens for BNB tokens and then use version 1 of Pancakeswap to swap for your BR34P tokens. So that's how you would actually go about going from the Drip tokens you're earning to get your BR34P so that you could earn team rewards that way. So I hope that answered your question for you guys that way. Like I said, guys, feel free to ask any questions. If not, I'm going to go ahead and look through my YouTube here. So there might be a little bit of dead space while I look through that way, unless someone else wants to come up and speak. And then if we get through all those questions there and there doesn't seem to be any more questions, we can end the space. We've been open for about an hour or so. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to direct message me. Feel free to ask me on the YouTube live stream, or feel free to come up and request to speak. I would love to have you come up and ask questions. I've got another question here from V2 Punisher saying, so if you buy 2 BR34P tokens, that only allows me 1 team member. Is that correct? That is not correct. So what 2 BR34P tokens allows you to do is to get any rewards for any direct referrals that you make. Meaning if someone uses your buddy code and they use that to get into the system, you're going to get the rewards you would receive from them coming in. So if you have 10 people come in, you'll get rewarded for all 10 of those people. Where the downlines kick in is the person they refer, then they go ahead and refer somebody else and use their buddy code. And you would only get rewards for that about every 17th time that they make a positive action. So it's not every time they're making an action, you're getting an award, because only one person is ever paid out or rewarded when there's a positive action that's taken. There's not multi-levels of people making money in the Drip system. It's one person gets a referral reward per positive action, whether that's a deposit or a redeposit through a hydrate. That's how that works in the Faucet smart contract. So thank you, V2, for that question on that one. I've got some things building up here in the YouTube live stream. So I want to go ahead and pop in and see if there's any questions for me, or if it's just continued questions between people in the chat. So give me 1 second here to look through that. Okay, so I got a question here from Jay Swag on the live stream. He says, Generation Crypto, how did price fluctuate affect the 365% return? If you buy in at $130 a token, it rises to 3,000. Do you receive 365% of 3,000 or 365% of $135? That is a great question, Jay. So what you're actually receiving on the 365% return is nothing to do with the price in dollars. It has everything to do with the individual tokens. So the 365% return is on the tokens. So if those tokens went from $130 to $3,000, then you would have been receiving 365% of 3,000, because that's the current value of the tokens at that time. So that's how that would work. It's always based on the token value and never based on the dollar value. So that's how it's always going to work in the Drip system, is based on the token itself and not on its value in dollars when it comes to the returns and the yields you're receiving. So the 1% compound daily interest is in Drip tokens, not in US dollars. So there could be a little bit of a fluctuation there. Another question was asked is, what is a positive of obtaining BR34P token? I don't know what its use case is. Thank you. So BR34P, as I mentioned before, is the finance pegged version of the REAP token, which was Forex Shark's first project that he ever received, or excuse me, that he ever created. And the benefit of holding BR34P token in your wallet is that if someone decides to utilize your buddy code to join the Drip system, if you have enough BR34P tokens, you can actually receive a referral reward based upon the number of BR34P tokens that you have. So it's just a way to get rewarded on people joining in through your buddy code if you get people to join, although that is definitely not required in the system to go ahead and get people to be referred. You can hop in using a buddy code and just simply enjoy 1% daily compound interest from Drip if that's what you would want to do. And if you would like to utilize bringing people onto your team, you most definitely can buy BR34P and have people brought in that way if that is something that you would prefer to do. Okay, let me see here a few other questions. Okay, 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get questions in for you guys, so I apologize for the dead space. Okay, looks like no other questions there on YouTube. If you had a question on YouTube and it has not been answered, go ahead and resubmit it. I do apologize. I'm trying to pay attention to both the Twitter space and the live stream at the same time. I've got a couple other message requests coming in, so let me see if I've got those here. I've got a question here. It says, when a rehydrate occurs, does it reset the full investment timing, 101 days to realize the investment? Question, is the daily interest up to 365% guaranteed, or is this based on constant buys, sells, rehydrate if the second what happens if volume declines? Okay, so a lot of things to unpack there with those questions. So with the first part saying when a rehydrate occurs, does it reset the full investment timing? You're always consistently earning 1% compound interest based upon what's currently in the deposit. That's how that functions. The 365% number comes from the fact that you can only pull out 3.65 times what's in your deposit, and over a year, that would be 365% of your initial deposit. So that's where that number comes from. If you're constantly rehydrating, then the 3.65 time multiplier on your deposit will also increase because your deposit increased. So that's how that works. Let me go over the next question. Is the daily interest up to 300 guaranteed? The 1% daily interest is guaranteed in tokens, not in USD value. So the token price can fluctuate, and that could fluctuate up or down if you're earning 1% interest more in US dollars, but it is guaranteed 1% daily compound and 1% daily interest in Drip token, which can have a little bit of a fluctuation in value based upon supply and demand factors. And then I think that answered most of your question there. And then what happens if volume declines? So obviously, volume does not affect the project at all. What would if you're in the contract and you're earning your 1% daily interest, you're earning that 1% daily interest. So if there's more people entering or less people entering the contract, that won't affect your 1% return. You're always going to get that 1% return, even if the rewards pool runs out, because new tokens will be minted to make the payout. So the only thing that's going to really fluctuate anything in the Drip token is going to be the buy and sell supply and demand factor, which could increase or decrease the value of the tokens that you're receiving, but you will always receive the allotted tokens that are due to you because the way the contract is written. So thank you for that question there. Another question I have is, why can't you see your Drip bag price on your Trust wallet? So that's because if you have your tokens deposited into the smart contract, they're not actually in your wallet. So they're in the actual contract, right? So you've deposited them out of your wallet in the contract. So it's going to show a balance of 0 if you've deposited all of your tokens, because they're not actually in your wallet. They're deposited into the smart contract. So if you wanted to go ahead and see the value of what you have in your deposit, you're going to have to connect your wallet to the dApp, and you're going to have to see there what it gives you on the data on what your wallet has currently in the deposit. That's why you can't see the value there. So thank you for that question there. And if you guys, like I said, have any questions, feel free to hop up, ask any questions. If you guys have any comments to make, any points you would like to make out on the masterclass video. For a reminder, while we're waiting for more questions to pop in either on YouTube or questions to pop in either here on the Twitter space or on my direct messages, just as a reminder, up at the top, pinned to the top there, they've got 3 different items you can take a look at. The first item is the audit for Drip. So if you guys want to look at the audit, kind of look at how the smart contract was written and what the data was that came back from that, you can go ahead and click on my tweet up there that goes over the information on the full audit report. Also, pinned to the top is my masterclass video. I have a 45-minute video that goes over everything you'd ever want to know about the Drip project, what it's about, and anything else that you would really want to learn that way. So if you guys want to check that out, I will also be releasing shorter form content of that Drip masterclass. So basically just snippets of it, taken out, added an intro and an outro on the specific topics so that people can go back and get specific questions or topics answered without having to go through that entire masterclass. On top of that, I also pinned to the top my buddy code. So if you would like to hop into Drip, if you're new to the Drip contract, you're welcome to utilize my buddy code, although it's not required to use mine. You can use somebody else's if you wish, but you do need to use a buddy code to go ahead and deposit your tokens into the Faucet smart contract. So if you want to use that, I will be doing direct airdrops once a month to people that way, so you can have a chance to win some basically free airdrops that way. If that's something that you would like to see done, you guys are welcome to join my team and participate in the free airdrops that would be coming that way. I hope I was able to answer most people's questions. It looks like there's no direct messages coming in. It looks like there's nobody else that's coming up or wanting to request to ask any questions. So if you'd like, go ahead and just click the request button. You can go ahead and request by using the button in the bottom left corner if you're new to Twitter Spaces. And yeah, that's it. We can start to end the space here. if nobody else has any other future contributions or questions, I'll leave the space open here for just a couple more minutes to see if anyone else has anything they're trying to type out and they haven't quite gotten over to me, or if anyone has anything else that they would like to think of and come up and ask questions for. So thank you guys for participating, and it looks like I'm the only one speaking. So we got a request. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, Evan, the floor is yours. What is your question or comment?
I just wanted to come in here and just say, before people want to, I've done my research the last 2 weeks. I joined RJ's team. I first saw from Atlas video of the future of this. Future of this project looks very bright, but it also, you have to remember, if you do not have patience, this is one of those ones you might want to stay away from.
Perfect. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions. Do you mind expounding upon what you mean by that?
Well, I'm saying, because obviously if you invest, say, $1,000, you're going to lose that 1,000 because it's going to be burnt. You're going to have to wait at least 100 days to get your money back without any profit whatsoever. So my thought is just hang in there. My plan is to compound every day for at least 200 days and then see where I'm at that point. And then I bought about 50 drip, and I've compounded about 3.5. So I'm just going to keep doing it for 200 days and see where we go from there.
Yeah, so actually, I do want to clarify one point there. Because of the tax system, it's not a true 100 days.
Right. It's a couple because of the 5%. And
yep, there's the 5% hydrate fee. And then on top of that, when you actually go to claim, there's a 10% claim fee and a 10% sell fee. So it would actually take exactly 143.2 days to get an exact return on your investment if the project remained constant in price. So I wanted to point that out. So if people all they wanted to do was put in their initial deposit and sit and wait for that return on their investment, they're welcome to do that. It would take exactly 143 days for you to get that exact return, assuming the price stayed the same.
So it almost benefit at least compounding the first probably 75 days then, because then at that point, if you compounded for the first 75 and then you claim for the next 75, it would relatively be more of a gain on that point, wouldn't it be?
So the compound factor is a big part of this. And so it depends on what people want to do. Essentially, if you compounded for a year and then at that point decided to make your ROI, it would take 6 days, assuming the price was the same. So it will, if you decide to compound, it will take longer than 143 days to get your return. But the length of time it would take when you start to cash out is shorter, if that makes sense. So
Right.
There's no way to get past those 143 days. So the shortest time period to get a complete return on your investment is 143 days. That is the shortest time frame that you could pull your return on your investment out. Obviously, if you decide to compound first, that gives you compound interest, and therefore you're going to be able to earn more on a daily basis to get that back when you do decide to start taking profits. So like I said before, it would only take about 6 days to get your return on your investment, even with fees included, if you decided to compound for a year first. The, I guess, risk people run is that for that year, the project could go up, the project could go down. There's a lot of change that could occur with that project where you haven't gotten that return on your investment yet. So another aspect is it's 143 days with the price consistent. If the price 10x'd in a couple of weeks, then that return on your investment time frame got a lot shorter, right? Because the price has more value. And the opposite is true. Let's say that you buy in at an all-time high and there's a massive correction and now it's 50% of the price it was before. Now the time you'd have to wait is significantly longer to get the return on your investment in dollar value. So there's definitely risk involved with drip. This isn't just free money that's guaranteed. There's always going to be risk in any DeFi project. And that doesn't matter what other cryptocurrency project you're in. There's no guarantee that the price is going to go in a positive direction over any given period of time. Now, obviously, people buy in and hold because they believe that this specific project they're buying into will continue to have value or will grow in value over time. But that's the same thing with Drip here. Drip is no different than either DeFi project in that manner. It still can go up in price. It still can go down in price. This isn't a guarantee. If anyone tells you that there's a guarantee on anything, the person that's telling you that either A, has not done their research on it, or B, they're lying to you, right? And you need to do your own research on whatever it is that they're telling you. There's no guarantee on anything. So you guys need to do your own research and make sure that this is the right move for you, because like I said before, I don't give financial advice. I try to educate and I try to provide information so that people can learn for themselves. So thank you for that, Evan.
Yeah, I'm a big long-term holder. I've loved long-term plays more than short-term, just a lot less stress that way. So this is definitely a good one for me. So
Good. Yeah, it's good to have you, Evan. It's good to have you on here. Jeff just came up. Before I get to Jeff, Evan, did you have anything else to talk about?
no, I just want to come in and say hey, and I'm glad to be a part of this. Glad to diversify, like Millionaire said. I've been basically a Safemoon maxi since April or May, and it's nice to actually have something else to look forward to that kind of takes my mind a little bit off Safemoon just for a little bit until hopefully that goes the way we all think it will. So
100%. I love Safemoon as well. It's one of my preferred projects as well. So thank you for your contributions, Evan. I see, Jeff, that you requested. Did you have something to bring up?
Yeah, I'm back again. I just wanted to ask you. So since I get in, I've been doing a lot of research and I'm reading a lot of different things online about the good times to hydrate. Are you noticing that for most people who are just starting again? I mean, there's definitely a lot to go over. Are you noticing that most people are just doing it once a day? Or I just wanted to get your thoughts on really trying to be strategic as far as the best times to do that.
So when I was reading the smart contract, I did recognize that there was quite a frequent amount of wallets that were going in basically around once a day and hydrating that way. But I've also saw accounts that were hydrating 7 times a day, and I saw some that were doing it like once a week. So there's quite a lot of variance in the kind of tactics that people are using when it comes to drip, and I think that it really depends on how much you have invested, right? For example, if you only have one drip token that's invested in the contract, you're going to be earning about like $1.20 a day, right? That wouldn't really make a lot of sense to hydrate on a daily basis because you're going to pay 30 cents in gas fees. You're losing it, and then 5% cut on the hydration fee. It might not make sense for you to hydrate every day, right? You might want to wait a week or so to really cut down on all those gas fees because of how big of a portion of the total you're going to be paying in gas. Now, if you've got $100,000 in the drip contract, it might not make sense for you to do it once daily either, because it might be more beneficial to you to do it multiple times a day, right? Because you're getting your compound interest so quickly that you could get a higher return if you were hydrating more frequently. So I haven't done the math on exactly like what's the right balance as far as like gas fee to hydrate ratio, but it's going to vary quite a lot on the person to person level, because everyone's in a totally different situation as far as how much they have in the project, what their goal is. Some people may not want to hydrate at all. Some people might want to just sit, wait the 143 days, hoping the price stays relatively the same or goes up, and then pull out their initial investment. And then at that point, they may consider doing hydration. So it's totally different person to person on kind of the route that they need to go and what they need to do based upon their financial situation and what their goals are. So it's really hard to give a generic answer on that question. If people want to text me about like their specific bag, I don't give financial advice. I understand that people have been texting me about that and messaging me saying like, hey, I've got 5 drip or 3 drip, like how often should I be hydrating? I don't want to tell you how much you need to be doing with your money because it's yours. Do your own research, find out what the gas fees are, find out what your goals are, and then make your own decisions based upon the information that you find. Don't just try to lean on somebody else that's researched the project to tell you what to do. You definitely want to make sure that you're doing your own research on that for your own specific bag and what your goal is, and then acting upon that. Because at the end of the day, it's your money and it's your decision, right? So I know that like I have my specific goals and like what I want to do with my money, but that might not be the same goals that everybody else has. I'm going to be taking a large portion of my profits and I'm going to be airdropping them back to everyone on my team. So a lot of you guys might not be doing that either. So your numbers are going to look way different than my numbers of how often you're going to be hydrating and how often you're not going to be hydrating. Because there's going to be times where I won't be hydrating for over a week because I'm going to be trying to build up a ton of tokens so that I can airdrop and give them away to people. So that's going to look a lot different for me than it is for somebody else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I did notice a few different calculators that are online too that are pretty easy to find if anybody wanted to look. I mean, I've been messing with them for the last couple of days, and I mean the one thing that I noticed for this, again, obviously nothing is financial advice, but for me personally, I'm sitting here doing the math, telling myself like, wow, if I just sat there and auto compounded for I mean, realistically, if I did it for a little bit over a year, I mean, it's insane what you can do. It's like, I could pay my bills, my girlfriend's bills by just sitting and being patient, and with anything, who knows what's going to happen. But I always try to look at everything with a risk reward factor. If I lose it, what's going to happen? Is my life changing? If my life changes and I lose it, then yeah, that's obviously not a good thing. But if it's not changing, but the reward side is my bills can be taken care of. I mean, again, it is exciting to have a few different, things on your plate. And back to what Evan said before. Evan, my girlfriend was here when she heard you had 50 drips. So if you get a DM from somebody, please do not answer that. But again, Generation, I do appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's always good to diversify, man. It's cool to be in a bunch of different things. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jeff, for coming up and contributing to the space. I do appreciate it. All right, yeah. So look out for those messages, buddy, because you might be getting some messages from somebody. Okay, let me look and see if I have any more questions I've got here. One moment here. I've got a couple other message requests. I got someone asking, if I buy on Trust Wallet, can I trade to LEPAL or this disrupt staking? So LEPAL unfortunately does not work with the Drip contract. You can use something like a Trezor for a cold storage wallet, and that's something you can use through MetaMask in order to go ahead and interact with the contract. But because of the way the contract is currently set up, an LEPAL unfortunately won't work. So you're going to want to go ahead and set up a new wallet that way. You can use another type of cold storage wallet like a Trezor to go ahead and still utilize a cold storage wallet while still interacting with the contract. So that's a great question. I got another question here. It says, trying to get in for Drip, but still have a question. Let's say I invest $1,000 and keep on hydrating for a year. I end up with $37,000, and my 1% of that will be 377.38, right? And I decide not to keep hydrating, but to start taking this out daily. For how long? Okay, 1 second here. I decided to keep hydrating, but to start taking this out daily. For how long I'd be getting this amount? Hope you can answer me this question. Thank you in advance. That is a great question, Care Father. If you go to my masterclass video, I actually talk about what you would get if you put $1,000 into the contract and what you'd be pulling out on a daily basis. You would be able to pull out 3.65 times your initial, not your initial, 3.65 times your deposit, your current deposit amount out of the contract before you wouldn't be able to pull anything out without hydrating again. So that's how that works. So if you had, like you mentioned before, $37,000 that's currently in your deposit, what you would be earning of that $37,000 is 3.65 times that. So 3.65 times, yeah. So it'd be 135-ish thousand and change that you would be able to pull out in total value out of that contract at 1% a day of the I've been talking way too long, of the $37,000 initial investment. So I hope that answered your question. If you have more questions on it, you can go ahead and watch the portion of my masterclass where I specifically talk about that example and what that looks like in the future. So thank you for that question on that, Carfather. Yeah. Did anyone else want to come up before we close the space out? I know that I've answered a lot of questions tonight. There's been a lot of questions. I appreciate everyone that's had all these questions. I do plan on, once we get some people going on the team, once I get my team size to about 50 plus, we'll start doing the monthly direct airdrops, and I'll be basically hosting a Twitter space like this and a live stream like this on my YouTube channel, where I will be going live and then sending out those airdrops and then announcing which wallets are getting those. Obviously, just talking about the last 4 digits of the wallets that are getting them, so you can know if you are one of the lucky people who's getting those rewards. You guys can utilize my buddy code that's linked at the top of this message here. And you guys are welcome to ask any questions you guys want in my direct messages about the project. I will be releasing the short form content of the master classes here over this next week if you want specific questions answered. And occasionally I will talk about Drip on my channel in the future. My channel is not a Drip specific cryptocurrency channel. It is not a specific Safemoon cryptocurrency channel. I talk about all sorts of cryptos. So you will see all sorts of stuff on my channel if you guys want to give me a follow and you want to learn more information about DeFi in general or on cryptocurrency. So I thank everyone for coming in. It doesn't look like anyone else is popping up into the space right now. So I'm going to assume that no one else has any more questions or concerns they want to be brought up. If you do, I'm going to give one last call for anyone to make any requests to come up to speaker. Literally anybody can request. If you know of anybody who's been skeptical of the project in the past, may have been speaking poorly of it, tell them that the space is here. Invite them over. I would love to have an open conversation with them about the project. They can go ahead and lay out all their woes, and I would love to answer any questions or concerns that they have. So I'll leave the space open for for a couple more minutes for any requests to come in, and we'll go that way. Okay, so we got someone wanting to come up and ask a question. So I've got Captain Crypto. How's it going? Once you connect, the floor is yours. Captain Crypto, you can go ahead and the floor is yours.
Good day, good evening for me from Amsterdam. I want to thank you for your time. I was watching your video with a masterclass with my girlfriend, and yeah, 5 minutes before she bought her first drip, I explained to her, and then I opened Twitter and I see your space. So I want to thank you. It gives a lot of information. I dived into the project like 1 week ago with RJ, so I'm in RJ's team, and I'm also listened to the interviews with Forrest Stark. His name is, I think, and it's a lot of information. So I'm still learning, and I'm very enthusiastic about the project, and I want to thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming up and listening in the space. I'm glad you found that masterclass helpful. I know it's a lot of information. This is definitely on the more complex side of DeFi projects, which is why I know that there's a lot of FUD and a lot of questions about it. So I appreciate you coming up and letting me know about that. And I'm humbled to know that you guys were willing to listen to me on my masterclass and that it was able to be helpful. So I thank you for that.
I have one question.
Rob, yeah, of course. What's your question?
How much time did you took to investigate it? Because it's a lot of information. Or did you already been longer than a couple of weeks? I don't know. I was curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I knew about this project well before any other major crypto, not major. I didn't rephrase that. I knew about this project before any of the major Safemoon content creators made videos about it. All of us collectively had been talking and investigating it before any of us released videos on it. And we're looking into it. I have done hours of research to give you an idea. I went and looked through all three of the entire smart contracts and read all the Solidity code for each one of them. I went and read the white paper multiple times. I went and looked at Forex Shark has done several interviews with several different people in the past. I went and watched all of those. I also went ahead and asked around in the community on their Telegram and other places, get some of my questions answered if I couldn't find them either in the code or in the interviews. And then I also just interacted with the contract, looked what happened when I interacted with the contract, what was happening to understand it better. And then I was able to compile 12 pages of notes on everything that was going on with the contract and everything that I had learned. And then I took those 12 pages of notes and I condensed them down to kind of what I wanted to talk about by subject in a video. I recorded a video that was an hour and 18 minutes long. That was going to be the masterclass, and then I condensed that down to 45 minutes, which is what actually people were able to watch when I got that all done. So it was quite a bit of research. It was, like you said, about 2 weeks or so of research, probably at least 3 hours a day of research. Might be generous. Maybe it was like 2.5 hours on some days, an hour on other days that I was doing research on this project, making sure that it was all up to snuff. And then over the last week or so, when I went to actually go release the video, I was putting in probably 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, getting the video made, and then making sure all the information was accurate. So it was quite a lot of work.
Props, very good, very good. Thank you for all your effort, and I want to say good night. I'm going to bed. It's almost it's after 12 here, so I want to thank you and wish you good night and a good day.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming up and interacting with the space. I really appreciate it. Looks like Travis, you had some questions. Travis, you can go ahead and speak. The floor is yours.
All right.
You there, buddy? Travis, you can go ahead and ask your question if you have one.
Hello.
We can hear you, buddy. What's up?
All right. Cloud Trust Wallet. Can a LPAL come in? Can I switch it?
Are you asking if you can use an LPAL with the Drip contract?
Yeah, but if I buy it on my Trust Wallet first.
Yes. So if you, yes and no. It's kind of a complex. So you can move that wallet to your LEPAL. You can definitely do that once you've bought it on Trust Wallet. But to interact with the DApp, to hydrate and do all those other factors, you can't utilize LEPAL currently. That may be something that will change in the future. But you're going to need to use a different type of cold storage wallet, like a Trezor, that will allow you to interact with the wallet like MetaMask while using the Trezor, so that you can go ahead and verify the transactions when you're going ahead and interacting with the DApp. So right now it's not compatible with the way that LEPAL is built, but in the near future, that could be something that you could potentially do.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming up and asking your question, Travis. Okay, let me go ahead and check my direct messages to see if we have any more questions. I've got the Mexican Viking asking, would you mind repeating what you said about cold storage working with Drip? I missed it because I got pulled away until the end. Yeah, so let me just rephrase that. We just talked about it. But if you want to use something like an LEPAL Titan, because it's air gapped, you won't be able to utilize that with the, at least currently, with the Drip contract. That could change in the future though. As of right now, you're going to need to use a cold storage wallet like a Trezor, or there's various other ones you can go research, where it will allow you to use a wallet like MetaMask while utilizing that Trezor, so that you can still interact with the Drip contract or any other contract that's not compatible with something like an LEPAL. So I hope that answered your question, the Mexican Viking, and other people that had questions on cold storage wallets. Big Bob asked, once we claim and the Drip token is back in our wallet, how do we convert to US dollars? Do we have to do it via Pancakeswap? So when you want to go ahead and you've claimed those tokens and they're back into your wallet, you have a couple of ways you can do it. You can use their native DEX, which is already on their DApp and on their website. You can swap your Drip tokens for BNB, and then of course after you have them in BNB, you can send them to any major exchange or platform that will allow for offboarding with fiat. So that's one way you would be able to get it back to US dollars. Another way is utilizing Pancakeswap. So you don't have to use their native DEX. You can definitely use the version 2 of Pancakeswap. Go ahead and swap your Drip for BNB that way, or BUSD, and then send the BNB or BUSD over to an exchange or any other place that allows for offboarding, and then of course getting that switched back over to fiat. So those are ways that you can go ahead and do the offboarding process. So thank you, Big Bob, for that question. It should be basically the same way that you would do it with really any other DeFi project once they're back in your wallet. You essentially use any sort of DEX that supports the Binance Smart Chain. You swap them back to BNB, and then you offboard BNB wherever it is your preferred location to offboard BNB. So that is how you would go about that process of offboarding that way. Thank you for those questions. Thank you, Travis, for your question as well. Like I mentioned before, if anyone, we haven't really had anyone with any opposing viewpoints or anyone who has been skeptical of the project come up. I welcome anyone who has the kind of those alternative viewpoints, who may be skeptical about the project. If you have some skepticism or things that you would want me to clarify, I would love to have you come up and would love to have an open conversation about it. I feel like there's a lot of times, especially on platforms, there's a lot of back and forth with not a lot of communication. And that's what I was hoping for tonight, is that we could have that open communication about this project, or about kind of what's going on in the ecosystem within this project. So I've got a question here from Matt Ewing asking, do you have to have BR34P in order to be able to receive airdrops? You do not. So when it comes to BR34P, the only benefit BR34P gives you is if you want to get buddy system rewards as a referrer. So if you are someone who's on someone's team and you're earning the 2.5% automatic airdrops, or if you're somebody who is getting direct airdrops, you do not have to hold any BR34P in order to benefit from those airdrops that you receive. The BR34P is only if you're planning on building a team and you want to be able to earn the rewards from having built that team. So that's the only time you're going to need BR34P in order to do that. Otherwise, if you just want to get into the contract and earn your 1%, and that's all you want to do, then that's all you'd have to do, is just get in the contract with a minimum of 1 token deposit utilizing someone's buddy code, and you would get in that way. So if you want to get my direct airdrops, if you want to join my team, you do not have that BR34P. You just need to use my buddy code, get onto my team, and then when I do those direct airdrops, if you're one of the lucky winners, it'll go directly into your deposit, and it will give you a better 1% daily yield. So that's how that system works with the airdrop. So the only time you need that is for that use case with BR34P. And you don't have to do anything with that BR34P other than hold it in your wallet. So you don't have to stake it anywhere. You don't have to send it anywhere. You just have to buy it and then hold it in the wallet that you are interacting with the Drip contract. So I hope that answered your question for you, Matt. So thank you for that question on the YouTube live stream. Okay, so we've been at this for about an hour and 45 minutes. Like I said before, opposing viewpoints are welcome in the space. Any other questions that people have of interacting with the contract is also welcome. I'm going to leave the space open for about 5 more minutes. If we don't get anyone asking any questions or wanting to come up and speak, we'll go ahead and close out the space for the day. So I appreciate everyone who was able to come in the space. While we're waiting for those last minute Q&A questions, either on the YouTube live stream, here in the Twitter space, or in the direct messages, I do want to just repeat really quick for anyone who's curious of where to get a buddy code. My buddy code is pinned to the top of this Twitter space. If you want to go ahead and utilize that, when you go into the Faucet Smart Contract, there's a section there at the bottom where it'll ask you to enter a buddy code. You'll just drop that code right in. You'll click submit, and you'll be able to utilize that code to go ahead and deposit at your minimum of at least 1 token into the Faucet Smart Contract. On top of that, I also have the link to my masterclass video. So if you want to learn more about this project and what it's all about, you're more of a visual learner, want to be able to see it, not just hear it, definitely watch that video. I give some visual representation of how the things function in the Faucet Smart Contract, as well as the entire kind of drip ecosystem and how it was built. It's 45 minutes. I know it's a long one, but that's there. And then I, of course, release the shorter form versions of that masterclass here over this next week if you would want to catch the specific topics. And then, of course, the last link I have up at the top is the audit. So there was a lot of questions about the audited version of the contract or not. The contract was indeed audited. I do have a link of the audit posted there at the top for those who would like to learn about that. So thank you guys all for coming into the space today. I'm not really seeing any more questions or people wanting to request. So last call here over the next couple of minutes before we close out the space. I appreciate everyone who was able to come up and ask questions. I know this is an extremely complex project, and I know this is something that we'll probably have to open Q&As up for in the future as new members come in on board. Like I mentioned before, we'll be doing those live streams about once a month or so once the team gets large enough. And of course, during the spaces, after I do the giveaways, we can do a live Q&A during those days as well to answer anyone's questions that anyone has on that. I also will be opening up groups on Reddit and on Facebook for those who don't prefer to use Twitter, or if you're on YouTube but you don't really have a way to interact and ask questions. There will be a Facebook group. There will be a Reddit group as well for those who do not have Twitter or who do not prefer to use Twitter or aren't on Twitter as often. You can go ahead and ask questions and interact with us there in between those live streams where we'll be answering for questions live if you don't use any of those platforms. Looks like there's no other requests, guys, so I greatly appreciate everyone coming in. I greatly appreciate all the questions that we had. I do know that this is a complex project, so feel free to always message me with any questions that you guys have. Obviously, if you have a question, try to go and look at the other resources first, like the masterclass video or the shorter form content to get those questions answered first. And then if you can't find the answer to those questions there, feel free to send me a message, and I'd love to get back to you on those questions that you guys have. I appreciate all your guys' support both on my YouTube channel and here on Twitter. If you guys have anything else you guys would like me to talk about, you guys can always reach out to me, and I can make sure that future videos touch on those specific topics if you see it as a topic of concern for a lot of people. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. With no one else requesting and no other direct messages, I'm going to assume that that's it for today.
Okay, guys, thank you for coming in and hopping in and joining me for my Twitter live stream today. I really appreciate that, guys. 1010, I know you had a question there at the end I didn't quite get to in the Twitter space, so I'm going to answer it here for you now. As far as Forex Shark and him being doxxed and third party, it is a reliable third party source that would dox him if any of his projects rug pulled, not just Drip. Also, he's kind of mentioned before that when it comes to KYC, especially with what's designed there, even if he did come out supposedly as someone who's doxxed, it doesn't really matter because he could just say his name is, John Schmo and have a picture of what he looks like and claim that this is the person who's the developer. And he could definitely create a fake license to do that. He said it would cost about $1,000 to do something fake like that. So even a doxxed individual in that manner doesn't inherently mean that that person is going to be a safer person to invest in. We know of several other projects in the past in DeFi who have had quote unquote doxxed teams who have totally rug pulled in the past. So when it comes to things, he actually talked about this in an interview where when you want to go ahead and talk about whether or not you should trust in somebody, this is supposed to be a trustless process when it comes to crypto. That's what Bitcoin was designed on, right? So everyone trusts Pancakeswap, but the entire development team of Pancakeswap is anonymous. Everyone trusts Bitcoin, but the developer of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, is anonymous, right? So we have a lot of anonymous developers in the space. That doesn't inherently mean it's a bad thing. What you can do, though, is you can look at the track record of the specific individuals. We can see that Reap Token, which is one of the first projects that he was involved in, did really well. It's had a 7,000% ROI, and it's been out for 2 years. We also know that he's worked on other things like the Block Cloud, Trust Swap, the Maha DAO, and the Rio DAO that have all been super successful in the past. He's also worked on the Manor and now the Animal Farm that's all coming out, and they've all seen great success. So we know that he has a proven track record over about a 6-year period. We also know that he has done well with these other projects and that he would be doxxed in that situation. So I don't personally think that having everyone doxxed all the time is inherently beneficial, and it doesn't inherently mean that you're securing an investment just because the person is doxxed. So I think it's important to note that we can look at Forex Shark's other projects he's been involved with and know that those have done well. And to me, that's good enough for me. It may not be for others. That may be a turnoff. And there's no other way of getting around it. If people prefer people to be doxxed, it's just may not be a project for them. And not all projects are for everyone. Thank you, Safemoon Joe, for the big shout out on that. I appreciate that you enjoyed my Q&A, and hopefully everyone else was able to enjoy that Q&A as well. And I hope everyone found that helpful. And I hope everyone also finds the masterclass helpful if you guys want to check out more information on the project. So thank you guys for joining in. I want to try to do these kind of Q&As on Drip about once a month or so, once we get the team big enough. So once I get my team up to about 50 people or so on it, then I'm going to go ahead and start doing these live Q&As. And then we'll also be doing the direct airdrops on those Q&As as well. So I look forward to doing that. This is kind of going to be my way as a content creator to give back to you guys. It's something I've always wanted to do for your guys' support. So if you guys want to see more support from me, you guys are always welcome to go ahead and join my team, get others to join in on the team. It would make the airdrops much larger over time as that team grows. And of course, it's a way for me to give back to you guys for being such an awesome community and supporting me in everything that I do. So thank you, Safemoon Joe, for the shout out. Thank you, 1010. Thank you, everyone else who was watching and had your questions answered today. I greatly appreciate all your support. And I'll catch you guys all in the next live stream. So I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.